Good morning, everyone. I am Sandy Allnock, and I'm going to bring you a Phenology wheel update. On January 1st, I started my very first ever Phenology wheel, and you can watch all that to find out how to make one. But today, what I want to do is show you a couple other people's Phenology wheels. I want to take you on a walk with me so I can show you what I was documenting. And then we'll do my January 31st entry together, and I'll start February and just show you all of my wheels and what I'm doing with them. Okay? It's a lot to cover, so sit down, hope you have a cup of coffee, and we'll get started. I want to start by showing you Marion's book, at least a quick flip through of hers. You can go see the full video on her channel. I'll link to it down below, where she shows you how she made a book out of all of her 2024 wheels. And it is amazing. She'll show you how she does the stitching, how she cut the paper out, how she wrote the poetry. She'll read you some of the poems. She's amazing. And if you just need a warm hug, whether you're going to do a Phenology wheel or not, just go listen to her. She just has a heart of encouragement, and I just think she's special. So some other folks on our adventure joined in the Phenology wheel stuff. This one is not a wheel, obviously. It's a journal. You can do it in a journal. You don't have to do a wheel. Isabel did a wheel, and she included a ton more information, including the phases of the moon, which was pretty awesome. These two are by two ladies named Kathy. I don't think they know each other, but they did totally different things in their Phenology wheels. So you can do anything. It's very open. What I decided to put in my wheel was something that I go out and see on my walk, which is green things. I live in Washington, and it's green year-round. It's not always blooming year-round, but there's green stuff year-round. I was curious to see if I could find 31 different green things during the month. And I actually succeeded without having to resort to any dandelions, which was nice. I, looked at people's yards as we went by. I would go into little side streets, little places where nobody owned the plants. It was just wild stuff growing. There's a whole section of forest that I walked through. Just all different kinds of things, from super cultivated plants where people are, minutely caring for their garden, to just wild bramble. And each time, what I decided to do for the month of January is just let the dogs decide what we're doing. Because normally they are pulling me from one place to another. It's chaos. There's like another dog that comes by and they all start crazy barking at each other. Or a squirrel comes by and everything gets derailed. But for this month, I decided I would just allot more time to our walks and let the dogs tell me where we were going to look and sniff and see things, and that I would choose from whatever they were sniffing at that day. And fortunately, they did find 31 things for me to do throughout the month. But I found some very interesting plants when I actually looked at people's yards. I did not walk into their properties, don't worry. And if I took a little clipping off of anything, just a tiny branch to take home to paint from, I tried to take it from an underside of something so that no one would see that there was a little tiny piece broken off. Some plants I couldn't identify even using the iNaturalist app. Other things, the app knew exactly what it was, and I happen to know this is Scotch broom. It's going to bloom yellow in the spring, and could confirm that with the iNaturalist app. But there's a lot of things I walk by every day, and I had never even wondered what it was. So I'm really curious to see, all of these are going to bloom different colors. I can't wait to see which ones bloom different colors, because now I've looked at their buds carefully, and I don't know, I'm just really curious to see how it's going to develop over the year. So I think my future walks are going to be much more exciting than they have been in the past. I did take this video on a sunny day, and I went out without the dogs. And I felt kind of bad because, they like going out for walks. But the birds that you're hearing are not something you would have heard if I was filming with the dogs with me. Because the birds stop, they fly away. The dogs are just, panting in chaos. And this just allowed me a lot of time to just sit and listen. And when I took out my Merlin app, it identified in that forest, it identified 12 different birds. It was amazing. So I'm putting that audio from that section under most of this entire video so that you can enjoy all those birds too. Because I am excited to, at 1 month during this year, I want to do birds. I think that'll be kind of fun because we obviously have way more than I ever thought we did around here. I just would hear birds and go, look, it's a bird. And now I know how many different types of birds are here. But even in the bramble, there's lots of green, even if it looks like a mess and mushy chaos. It was interesting to identify all these little plants, all the little ferns, and see what they are and paint them into my Phenology wheel. And I think it came out quite beautiful. Now this is the plant. This is lavender, and it's got some flowers from last year left on it. And I'm going to be painting it in my final entry for January 2025. So I picked up a little tiny snippet of the leaves as well as one of the little flowers so I could take those home with me because it's a little easier to paint from that than a photograph, because generally smartphones will do a little bit to color, amp up the color a bit more. So when I got home, I got out my watercolors, some water, and my wheel, which is just about done. I did decide after this that I was going to redo the snowflake in the center, like I talked about at the beginning in early January, but I'll do that after I get this part finished. So I wanted to begin by figuring out what the color will be, and it's kind of a bluish green, like a cascade green, but not quite as bright as all that. So I mixed a very, very watery mix of cascade green plus a little tiny bit of the transparent red oxide, which dulled it down quite a bit, which was nice. And making it thin really helped as well. And to make a really pale wash of something, you can either just make it really thin and let it dry, because it's going to dry 30% lighter anyway, or you can dab it off with a paper towel or a tissue or a baby wipe or something if you want. And in this particular case, I decided to do a little bit of both, so I didn't have to dab off the leaves, but you can see the light from my window and the overhead view of this makes everything look like it disappeared. So just look at the paint mixing. I mixed some cascade green, a little bit of sap green, and some transparent red oxide to make the darker green. So yeah, I had my shades open in the studio, and that's usually a mistake when I'm trying to film. I forgot about that, but it was so sunny. I couldn't not have the sunshine streaming in, but you can kind of see how blown out it gets. Darn you, sunshine. We don't get all that much sunshine, and on the day I'm recording this, we are having our last day of sunshine for a while. We're going to go back to rain. Wish I could send rain to the places that need it, and they could send some sunshine and warmth here, but such is life. We can't do that. So I'm painting various layers of the mix that I have going on with the cascade green and transparent red oxide primarily. For the flowers, I put down some of that same color. I did that in the first wash to make the real pale portions. Used a little bit thicker pigment for a bit more detail on the flowers themselves. It was the first time I actually really looked at lavender that closely, so I'm going to have to look at it once it starts blooming and it's actually purple. So I put some moon glow with a little tiny, tiny bit of quinacridone rose in it, just so it's a little more of a reddish purple color. So I could put just a bit of color into this one. I kept looking for plants that had berries on them or leftover flowers, anything that had a little different color. And I was also looking for different shapes and trying to vary the types of branches that would be used, because I found that if I had too many really big leaves taking up, like 3/4 of the little space, it would just start looking heavy on one side. So I would have, different amounts of air left in between them. And partway through the month, I decided I needed to start writing down all the plants that they were too. Because what I'd like to do is do this same series again perhaps in summer and try to go find these same plants and paint them back in and see what they look like in summer compared to what they look like in winter. So I put my data in, the temperature and sunrise and sunset times, and I was really fascinated that in the place where I live, we gained 18 minutes of daylight at sunrise, and we gained 42 minutes. 42 compared to 18 in the evening at sunset. That was crazy to me. I mean, I realize that, tilt of the earth changes things and all that stuff, and everybody will have a different number, but wow on gaining that much more in the evening than in the morning. So I decided to follow through with a change I talked about maybe making on January 1st when I first created this, because I did the snowflake in ink and wash, and I decided I wanted it to just have the wash. So I cut out a circle, which was imperfect, so I ended up drawing a little border around it because, I couldn't even get that circle right. There you go. Is what it is, right? And then I also trimmed off that white edge around mine. Now, this good morning video that I posted at the beginning of this one is part of my inspiration for this coming month, because a couple weeks ago, I woke up really early and I saw this in the pre-dawn moments of the day, and it was so amazing. And I'm not usually up for sunrises, but by the time actual technical sunrise got here, that's what it looked like. So I want to try, if I can, to get up for what they call the civil twilight, which is when the sun is still below the horizon. That's when you get all those amazing colors. So I want to try to get up early and capture that if I can. And I'm going to do it in gouache. So I think it's a little ambitious because that's a lot of getting up early, but I do have a bunch of stuff going on in February, and I'll just give you a channel-wise heads up. I am going to continue my content here, trying to get a bunch of it done ahead of time because I have a couple of surgical procedures that I am going to be doing this month and taking some time off. But I want to have something that's going to fit in with that, and I think painting skies will be helpful because I have no idea what my walking is going to be like with the dogs. And I also don't know dates for everything, and I have a lot of doctor's appointments and follow-ups and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to try to do the civil twilight. Like I said, it's early, if I can. And if I can't, then I will look for sun elsewhere in the day, particular cloud formations, or I'll try to catch the sunset, because out my backside of my house, we can get some really gorgeous sunsets out there. So that's the plan for February. We'll see how that works out in March. I will report back and we'll talk about how that went. But for this one, since there's 28 days in the month and there's, 32 slices in this pie, then I filled in a couple of them, and I thought I'd just started off with a bit of gouache painting because I haven't painted in gouache in a couple of months now. My gouache painting has been just lax. I've been doing everything else, and I thought I better get myself on board with some clouds. So I decided I would get some practice in and also figure out how my palette is doing. Now, I haven't touched this palette in months, which is kind of a good test because previously I used it every once in a while, and when you're using your paints, it keeps them reconstituted quite nicely. But if you let them sit there for ages, like I did, and not painting with gouache for so long, then they do tend to dry out. So a little bit of water in them and a toothpick to stir them up reconstituted everything wonderfully. The Daniel Smith ones that I do, they work better than other brands that I've tested because I've tried a bunch of different ones over the time that I've been doing some gouache painting, and I like how they are able to become creamy again, which is really good because you can keep painting with them. Other brands dry out and you have to kind of dig them out of the palette. I will link all my gouache supplies down below, as well as the watercolor that I did for the wheel in the supply list, and they'll also be on my blog if you need them. So I kept fussing around with the mountain because, as I said, I haven't painted in gouache for a while, and I was trying to figure out the colors that I wanted to use. There's a kind of a mountain in front of the mountain. The top part of the mountain is pushed back and it's lighter, and then there's darker in front of it. So I was playing around with whether I lighten the top section, darken the bottom section, which one is going to be purplish and which one's going to be bluish. And yeah, I didn't have a reference. I was just going out of my head, knowing I've painted Mount Rainier so many times. So I threw some pink on there so that the sun would at least, cast some brighter color on the peak of the mountain itself. But the view from where I live does not have these trees and the lake in front of it. This is another view from, much closer to the mountain. If you go on a hike out there, you can see this lake and the mountain behind it. But for me, it's just, I can see the mountain popping up in the distance past my city and off in the distance. While I would love to have a lake view, I will settle for having the view that I do have, because it is nice to get to see the mountain every day when I go for my walks. So here's my daily wheel. Remember in January I showed you I did a daily, a weekly, and a monthly. And I wanted to see how I'd use them, so I do have a plan. I'll show you those. But this is my daily wheel, all finished for 1 month. Second, I'm going to show you the monthly. And that one, I decided I would pick out my favorite from the full month. And this one was the Viburnum from January. And then my weekly, I'm painting in something that didn't make it into the wheel. Something that doesn't have to be the same theme. So sometimes it was a bird, sometimes it was rocks with moss. That red leaf looked really stellar that day. And then I'm writing down which day of the week that I found that thing, because maybe I'll find out I'm more observant on one day or another. And then my February wheel is ready to roll with gold acrylic pen marking the days. So I am ready for February. Are you? Are you going to be doing a Phenology wheel of any kind? If so, then let me be your guide. You can watch my January video, or you can watch Marion's. I'll link to both of hers down below in the links, and I will see you soon with another video here. Bye-bye.